Hey everybody, how we doing today? Another great day in the life of the living. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Just wanted to touch base with you guys. Again, we are the voice of the change here with Gabriel Martinez and my co-host Tex Wambui. Also, you can find us on the Alive Podcast Network. Appreciate you. Our focus today is going to be the power of execution, turning daily actions into lifelong success. I wanted to make sure that we have a podcast garnered towards this because I just feel like it's so useful in our day-to-day lives and can paint new pictures, push us to new limits, and garner us new successes in our lives. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, welcome back, y'all, to the Voices of Change. I'm here, Tex Wambui, joined by the wonderful and great and Midas Martinez. And yeah, today we're gonna have a good discussion. This man called me up and he was like, "Let's talk about this today, because life happens, things happen, and you gotta execute in everything that you do." And we are the Voices of Change, where we focus on storytelling on the components of individualism, community based, and mental health wellness, as well as environmental sustainability, wetlands restoration, and empowering green mobility. On a focus on electric vehicles, clean energy, transportation equities, and all that good stuff. You can check us out on the website www.sustainthevoices.org. And today, just want to say we do have one of our special team members who focuses on the wetlands part of our organization, Voices of Change. So, without further ado, I would like to give him the moment to shine. And he is here today.
Thank you so much, Tex. Thank you, Gabriel. My name is Hussein Waiyaki. I'm a youth leader, mentor, also the project coordinator for Voices of Change here, for Wetland Restoration. And just to say, this week has been quite a meaningful and impactful to us since we were having our second quarter event activity at Mangua Wetlands, which we did yesterday, and it was quite marvelous, successful, and we thank God, and much more will be shared as we get to this podcast. So much excited to be here, be part of this conversation, and I appreciate so much.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate your
Right
words,
on,
Hussein.
right on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And glad to have you on this podcast today. So moving forward, I just wanted to touch base, right, and start us off with a quick little banger, right? There's a quote by one of the famous, well-renowned, known Thomas Edison, where it says, "Vision without execution is hallucination," right? And so I wanted to touch base on execution, what that means, why it's important, and why it may be important to you to understand and to put into your day-to-day life. So, execution, right? What does that mean? What is that? And it means turning our plans, our goals, our dreams, and intentions into concrete actions, right? There is a very, very important uh, point that we want to make sure that we are putting base on is that consistency over time is what is going to continue to make those actions, concrete, make them into the physical realm. We could think about it, anything that we have going on, we could talk about it, but if we're not actually doing it, what are we doing for ourselves? What are we doing for our team, our family, our community? Right? If we're not taking necessary steps, we're only just living in the past, living in the present. Think about the future, put the best foot forward and keep it moving. Tex, you got anything about that?
So I like the fact you said that word consistency. And here at Voices of Change, that's one of the things that we try to rely on is consistency. From the moment we started, I think we started in February, but if it's always been boiling, then we finally was like, you know what, let's actually really do this, and we have executed on what we want to do. And the best part about it is the power of doing it now rather than just waiting on later. We all work, we all have our own different things that we are interested in, all different aspects of life, events happen, etc. But the power of doing it now is probably one of the most important things I can say when it comes to execution. Let me paint a picture for you, right? You've got this incredible idea, a dream that lights up the room and it lights you up inside. But the hard truth is dreams don't mean a thing without execution. It's the fuel that turns what if into what is, essentially. I've seen people with genius plans sit on them, waiting for the stars to align or just waiting for things to happen, or like the perfect timing or perfect resources. Newsflash for y'all, for anybody listening that is learning something from this, is that that moment never comes. That moment never comes. The real magic is starting right now. If you got an idea or something, just start right now. Just start executing it. Incremental progress is long-term progress, is any form of growth. So take that one step, small step today. I once saw a struggling team, which I was a part of, and we turned around by focusing on a single deliverable that we could all improve on individually and as collectively as a team. And also here at the Voices of Change, we started off by doing a podcast. We started off by wanting to do wetlands restoration. We've started off doing research and data insights on empowering green mobility. And we've made progress so far. And we started with the idea, but so far we are here right now. And those tiny wins, they snowballed into a massive, massive growth for us individually as well as us collectively. And execution isn't about, leaping mountains in a single bound. It's about consistency, deliberate steps. So, only thing I would say is I challenge you, or I'm asking you, what's one thing you can do today to get closer to your goal, right? Do it. Start the chain reaction. It's kind of like a chain. So that's all I'll add on that, Gabe. I don't know if Hussein, you want to add on to anything onto that, or Gabe, follow up on that. I don't know, man. That's kind of what my thought process is on the aspect of that.
I like that. I like that a lot. I really like how you put it all together, man, and wrapped it all into one common theme where it's just, the daily executions, the daily execution itself compounds into the big results over time, right? You had
And
your
bing, bing, bing,
deliverables,
bing. Compound
man. I
interest.
compound interest, baby. Talk to them nice. Money talks, yes, sir. But also how your example of with your team, right? And you're focusing on just one deliverable, focusing on one thing and working at it daily will yield yourself monuments and massive returns, not only on the work that you put in, but returns on the consistency of the work that you are providing, not only to your team, but to the better population of the world. I really appreciate that sentiment, Tex. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. And then, like I said, wanted to ask Hussein, did you have anything about execution you wanted to touch base about? Anything at all?
Yeah, sure. Maybe, okay, you guys have said it much better, but not all. So, okay, to me, I view things because in everything that needs to be executed begins as an idea, then moves into a plan. I see they say ideas make much more bigger imagination. Basically, an idea or a plan might be even or happy romanticized. You could be having this perfect genius idea, and you're like, wow, oh, I'm gonna do something about this. But if you don't start a step toward doing that thing, which is basically start executing or whatever stage that you do or whatever step that you'll be taking, then that ends as a romantic idea. So basically, execution is what gonna make you realize like how or the extent of the beauty of this idea, or even how best you can realize this idea into a perfect, actionable thing. Those simple step by step moves from where you are to where you want to be in your idea or and so basically that's what I will add. But tech said it much more better, consistent, regardless of how small those steps are. Be consistent day after day, week after week, and eventually something will be seen to be coming out of that.
You spitting some fire right there,
That
Hussein. I like that.
that was wise words from the wise man right there.
Hmm.
I do have something that I want Gabe you to kind of expand on, right? You know,
Right.
you're a full-time dad, full-time husband, full-time worker. Right now there's things you've been doing that we've talked about in terms of executing them very well. Can you kind of just talk about that aspect of, something that you've been really executing on that, I mean, you can say you're really proud about for yourself.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. I'm glad that you posed that question. First off, I appreciate it. And based on previous conversations that we have had, not only on our podcast, but also in our day-to-day lives, Tex, one thing that I wanted to follow up with and share with you guys in terms of execution, in terms of, our daily task and how it adds up over to into future successes. A small example in my life that may be a story for you guys to lean on is that, you know, where you start is not how you finish, right? I'm sure you guys have all heard about the tortoise and the hare story, right? Where the tortoise starts off slow, the hare starts off fast, but the hare takes a nap, starts slowing down, and the tortoise slowly but surely makes its way to the finish line. I feel like in a lot of positions that I've been, whether it be in leadership, whether it be as a uh, a a leader servant, right, or a servant of the community, is that I've always been that tortoise. I've always been slow and steady. I've never been the guy who's immediately been amazing at whatever he does, right? It's always been a work in progress, and I can attest to that to my day-to-day actions, not only as a father, not only as a husband, but also, like you said, as a employee as well. One little piece of my personal story I'd like to share, right, is that you know when I started in my position where I'm currently I'm a manager for a Fortune 500 company, and I manage over 100 associates and a lot of different walks from a lot of different walks of life in that regard. And immediately for me, it was a learning curve. I didn't start off strong. It obviously wasn't exactly what I had imagined, right? But slowly but surely, by asking questions, by doing the diligent work, by staying consistent with my people, with my team, not only have my team, progressed and grown, but I've grown as a manager as well. I can say because of the consistency and because of what my team is doing, we're now like the top quote unquote shift, quote unquote, in our building. And as and as a result, we're also we have my team has now, progressed our entire building to be the number one in the entire West Coast. And so that in itself is based upon, right, the necessary steps you take, daily actions you take, the what's the word, the compound effect of the daily actions, the small repeated efforts, adding up to where we can have large and consistent successes, right? And I wanted to share that, and I shared that with you previous text because it's about execution, you know, right? You don't roll over when you get down. You get back up and you find out, okay, how can I do better? How can I improve? And I make sure that I apply that not only to my day-to-day life with my family, with my wife, but also, with my team, the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis. How do we improve? And having that growth mindset is what has been able to help improve not only myself as a human being, but myself as a father, as a husband, and my team, as employees in all the different aspects and roles and jobs that they're in. I remember when I first started, I may have rubbed shoulders with people the wrong way. I may have came off uh, uh, not as not professional. I'm always professional, but I would say not the way that was necessary for my team. But over time, 3, 6, 7 months later, now they understand what I do. Now they understand why I do what I do, and the buy-in has propelled us to move forward. And I wanted to share that because, for all the people that are, in that rut in life where they may not know, or they may doubt themselves, or they may just, I don't know, feel like they may be depressed or something. There is always room for improvement, so long as you're willing to take the necessary steps and consistent steps to keep moving forward. And I feel like that's my theme, right, Tex? I feel like I always say this: keep moving forward, because at the end of the day has to end, and the steps and the actions you're taking in that day is what is going to add up to what your present is, what your life is, right? So I just wanted to share that because I know that the compound interest or the compound effects of my day-to-day actions and moving forward has made it so that we can continue to succeed, not only in just, like I said, work, for my family, as a husband, in my community, all of the above. So just wanted to share that. And I hope that touches the hearts and souls of everybody around, and maybe they'll take a little piece of that and use it in their own life. So appreciate you all. Yes,
That
sir.
is that is that just reminded me of this whole thing about, when they say there's this thing about credibility lives in results, right? You know,
Mm,
I'll kind of shift here because what you just said, you're creating credibility for yourself as well as for others and with others. It's not about what you say you'll do, it's about what you've got to show for it, right? Execution is your proof. Your calling card. I learned this the tough way, honestly. Early on in my career, I honestly used to just be kind of the type of person who I would just pitch a bold idea to my boss with no enthusiasm, and I'll just get total silence. Or the next time I walked up in with a prototype with some hard data and a clear plan, the room erupted with excitement, right? So there's a kind of a difference in showing in terms of the idea and the kind of where the vision, right? That's what execution does. It allows you to kind of see the aspect of what you are improving on and growing on. And it turns kind of the skeptics into believers, whether you're, gunning for promotion or building a side hustle or even chasing a personal goal or creating something tangible. A mock up or a progress report, a track record gives you credibility live in those results. And it shows the world you're not just talking the talk. What's your evidence of the execution? That's the most important part, right? And if it's not there yet, start building on it now and watch doors fly open, right? This is actually perfect. I want to give Hussein a little opportunity now for him to kind of talk about the execution he's been able to kind of do on the aspect of voices of change, what we do here. I mean, before I do that, I just want to give shout out to you, Gabe, man. You are being a voice of change for yourself. You are being a voice of change for the company that you represent, for your family. And you just said it right there. The compound effect for the daily things that you're doing is not just only impacting you in a positive way, it's impacting all the things that are around you. I mean, they say that thing about the tell me who your friends are or tell me what you do and I'll tell you who you are. That's exactly what it
right.
is. You tell me what your routine is, I can tell you kind of the type of person you are. So shout out to you, man. You have an execution advantage right now and keep shining on that, man. But Hussein,
Absolutely.
you know, I would like for you to shine light on you on the great work you're doing with Voice of Change on our wetlands restoration aspect of things. Now, can you talk about more about that and kind of where we started on that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I live in one thing, and actually, and mind your conversation that we had, personal text. I believe ideas don't make you great, neither rich, but the correct execution of them does. So actually, when we started talking about now the component of wetland restoration, and we started planning our first event, it looked like almost impossible. Then I remember saying, even if only two people turn out, the event will go on as planned. Like we're not stopping anything, we just do as planned. Really, only one person who had showed up at that first event. The storm we planned was on 1st of February, but we were doing it in commemoration for World Wetlands Day, which is normally celebrated on 2nd of February every other year. And we organized a very nice work. We did our part as an organization, did all the engagement, invitations, you know, government parastatals and whatnot. And boom, we had more than 70 people showed up for the work. And we did a work from Maguo, wetland to Limuru town. Then we organized the cleanup of the Limuru town. And we did a really marvelous job. I mean, I couldn't believe in myself. And I was like, wow, this is just beyond expectations. Okay. We had did quite a lot of work in planning with Tex and my team down here, engagement with the people, invitation, whatnot. But see, I couldn't believe that that turned out in that magnificent. So we did it. And then that kind of like put us on a pace that now we decided that the pace that we'll be working on. So from there on, now it's continued on the community engagement because we have the project, we have a long-term restoration plan, but you see, we also need the community. So we decided, like, first year, at least our first engagement and event should circumvent around the community mobilization and sensitization because the community by itself has to own the idea for us to move. The community by itself has to accept what voices of change is doing for the community, for them as the community, for us to be able to achieve this. Our first event kind of set up a very good pace for us to move on. And as I can say, so far so good. Our yesterday event, we did, we're collecting plastic litters around the place. There are a lot of plastic litters around the place, but we also had partners organization like Prepare Society also gave a speech because we had a number of members of the community about importance of proper dumping of waste instead of just littering around. We also had quite a number of government organizations. We had the water resource management as well who are present. They also talked to the community about the importance of Manguo water because currently Manguo, as our project, is one of the gazetted areas that supplies groundwater to the Nairobi. So without Manguo, basically the people of the greatest city in Africa will be having the water. Manguo is a very important utility as far as groundwater is concerned, and also birds, one of the places that has rare species of birds. So it was great. Yesterday was great, but yesterday the event, as far as I can say, is a cumulative effort of our step-by-step execution plan. So basically, that brings us to the topic of execution because from our first move, we decided like, no, we are still a small organization. Maybe we can wait until next year and see how much we have done, or maybe a lot of people didn't show up. Then our good idea or plan will just have remained a good romantic idea or plan. But since we decided to take that bold step, that bold move, and decided, you know what, we're gonna do it. We'll do that work. We'll do the cleanup regardlessly. That's what has now culminated into us having was the first one and done a lot of invitations. We've done a lot of invitations and engagement to the government, the county government, and state, but apparently nobody showed up. So we're like, okay, we'll keep on doing it until the day that they show up. Nowadays, as an organization, we receive calls from CC, the CC in charge of environment from the county. So it is the result of that bold step to decide to execute that has led. And I believe we are still moving as an organization. Our long-term restoration plan, uh, God willing, will get us someday. So, yes, basically that's the step that we've been moving, but everything around that, everything that we have achieved, everything, in as much as it evolves from the idea of us, from it evolves from that having the idea of restoring the place, us having a good paper plan, it moved a higher notch into us deciding to execute the plan, regardless of how small we do, the aspect of execution that's making us where we are.
Man, oh man, Gay, what you got to say about that, man? That's evidence right there.
It's evidence. It's literally evidence, right? And one thing I want to piggyback off of, right, of what you said, Hussein, is that it's like you're taking the necessary action and you're seeing the full, not I won't say repercussions, but the consequence of your actions. You put the work in, you're going to have great consequences. Oh my goodness, right? And you can see it right now. People that are buying into the community, the work that you're doing right now, and I would say the feedback that you're getting is only going to propel you to do more, act more, and continue to be great. So thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. You saying yes, sir. Now, one thing I did want to follow up with, right, so far as execution goes, is I would say the opposite side of execution, right? And so what that looks like, and what that I would like to title it and coin it as is the gap of execution or the execution gap. Now, when it comes to, of course, doing what we say we're going to do, being a man or woman of our word, right? Many people have these goals but fail to act, right? They fail to act due to potentially procrastination. I've definitely been that, especially in college. Tex, you can attest.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, sleepless nights, sleepless nights.
Yes, sleepless nights. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The fear of failure, right? The fear of not belonging or imposter syndrome. Maybe overthinking or just maybe the lack of discipline. I know for a lot of non-athletes, not to call people out, but for a lot of non-athletes, they lack the sense of
You
discipline
just you
to,
just called us all out, but it's all right. It's all right.
yeah, I ain't gonna, subtle blem, subtle blem, but what I want to say is, that lack of discipline, I got it in college, in sports from high school as well, is that if I want to be great, I got to put the work in. If you don't want to be great, you're probably not going to put the work in, period. You can say all you want, but if you're not going to be about it, then be about it. And one thing I do want to leave us with in this point of the execution gap, right, is this quote from Steve Jobs, where it says, ideas are worthless without execution. If you don't execute, an idea is literally just dust in the air. It's in one ear, out the other. In your mind one day and gone the next. Make sure you're taking necessary steps to act on the goals
That
and
is
dreams and aspirations that you have. Yes, sir.
That is so true. And one thing I can just say from the both of y'all that I'm getting off here is the aspect of the community buy-in, right? Gabe, you as a leader of a lot of people, you had to get their buy-in in terms of kind of the system of ways and operations that we're going to go along to make us stand out and better. And as well with you were saying, you had to also get community buy-in from where we had to get the community to understand this is what we want to do, but we can't do it all alone. It takes a collective effort. And it reminds me of this in history. What is it called? I forgot the name of it, but there's this whole aspect of collective agreement, right? When you have a collective agreement, it means that it's not just one party. You have multiple parties participating in an agreement to say we have similar objectives and similar goals. And that's an aspect of execution that is very, very important. Is not just don't just take yourself, take the people with you and carry them on your back and push to the finish line. It's all about having the aspect of fulfilling for yourself as well as fulfilling for the others around you because what you do does have an impact to not just only you but everybody else. But Gabe, you did hit on another point that I actually wanted to build off was discipline is execution's secret weapon. That is the I think that is the like that's the sauce that you need for discipline, right? For
So
execution, I
execution
mean,
and
because execution isn't glamorous. It's not some viral moment or like a burst of inspiration. It's literally just discipline. Showing up when you're exhausted, and when the world's against you, when nobody's cheering. I remember sometimes I used to be grinding on stuff and everyone thought like I was doomed, right? I broke it down one task at a day, no matter what it was. Just did it one time at a day. And by the time it was time for me to figure out what my final results were, I delivered something to myself first that shut up my own criticism of myself because I just had that discipline. It also shut up everybody else around me because I executed to the fullest potential that I can and I was proud of what I did because that's the most important aspect too in execution is if you're not proud of yourself, it's very hard for other people to be proud of you. But that's one thing I would say is that the aspect of discipline starts first within you. And then the actually other power of execution with discipline attached to it would be it's a habit, not a feeling. You build on
mm,
a system. A daily routine, a checklist, a way to measure your success and your failures and your wins, or whatever it is, allows you to kind of track yourself and your progress. And for us here at Voices of Change, we are doing that for ourselves. We started off in February with 0 subscribers. Now I think we've hit 200. We're trying to get to 300. We're trying to get to 400 on our YouTube. We're trying to grow I guess, our social media platform. We're trying to make our website better. We're trying to secure more funding. We're trying to do this and that. We're trying to grow as well because we see the potential in it. And as a matter of fact, just a side note, this week, team, we do got, we got execution moment we gonna have to execute on. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So we
yes,
gonna do
sir.
that. We're gonna do that. But just to tie it all up in the aspect of discipline is execution's secret weapon. Whether you're chasing like a career leap, a fitness goal, or like a passion project, discipline is what turns someday into done, right? Someday this. Nah, you want to turn that someday statement that you say to yourself to it's done. So the question I would ask, think about what's your system in play. What's the system that's allowing you to execute at the highest level you can? And if you don't have one, it's time to make it happen. You can reach out to us here at Voices of Change. We have a wonderful guy here, Gabriel Martinez. We have the wonderful Hussein over here. You can reach out to them. You can follow them on IG, reach out to them. They will offer you free consultation on execution. Okay, just throwing that out there. Okay, they will offer free consultation. Maybe at some point, once they got a people, we can offer services. But anyways, for now, we are voices of change. Just saying, just start small. But also importantly, just start now. So that's all I'll follow up on that, Gabe, from what you just said on there, man. It's something that I think is very important in terms of the benefits of strong execution in daily life. And shout out to that quote you said by Steve Jobs, because I love Apple. I love Apple products. And the reason I love that is the simplicity in it. And it just it was an idea, but it's being executed to where I am a user of their idea daily because they executed an idea, and I literally use all Apple. I try to use mostly Apple products because I believe in their idea, which was executed fulfillingly to satisfy my needs as well. So that's all I gotta say on that aspect of things, man.
And I like it, and I like it, and I just want to thank you for sharing that. Also, thank you for the shout out. Because you're doing the same thing in your day-to-day life as well. Text family, work, anything else that's outside of the community. You're taking the necessary steps as well. So I want to shout you out too as well. Appreciate that. So, moving forward, I did want to, touch base on a few of our strategies to improve execution. So, of course, right? Nobody's perfect, and I would say
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's.
nobody's perfect. Hey, hey,
Oh, should we hit that? Should we
but
hit
you're
that?
perfect for me.
Should we hit that Hannah Montana? Nobody's perfect. I gotta
I gotta work it again and
get it
again
again
till
and
I
again, get it
I
right.
haven't heard that since maybe like 2012, bro. Oh my goodness, you just brought back like an old memory. That's crazy.
It's that good old Disney Channel. Who's saying? I don't
Yeah,
know if you know that. Who's saying? You know the Hannah Montana,
Yeah,
the Disney Channel show?
I
Yeah, man.
do.
That show. You know that the song "Nobody's Perfect." That was my banger, man. That was my banger.
Iconic. I might have to start playing that. Shit, I might have to start playing that. I'm like a whole old school memory right there, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, so I did want to, like I said, touch base into our topic of strategies to improve our execution, right? And I think the biggest thing that is hampering and bringing us down to improve our execution is that we seek perfectionism in everything that we do, right? Not having a clear mindset and not having a clear outline of what we can do, of course, that can, you know, put us back maybe 4 or 5 years, in our journey, maybe 10 years in our journey. And a lot of that has to do with everybody wanting things to be perfect. In life, I'll tell you now, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be what you expect, but how you adapt to the ups and downs. How you adjust to the curves on the road is what is going to push you to a whole nother level. Now, I wanted to touch base. Uh, so Hussein, based on like, what we're talking about with strategies to improve execution, like what do you think could be like some things that could potentially improve execution, not only for you, but for our listeners, for us, everybody?
well, okay. I think, and I normally say this a lot when I engage with my fellow youth around here. In most cases, apparently, and I think every one of us has lived in a utopian life. We live in the assumption that maybe the next minute will be better. Even in your paper plan or idea, you think, or let's say, for instance, you have a business idea, but you need some resources to put into it. You normally think like, maybe tomorrow I'll have these resources and I'll work on this idea. But here's the truth, that just like Tex said, it's not gonna happen. You know, if you have a multi-million idea and you're waiting for you to get the millions for you to start the project, that's a long shot. Start where you are, move towards where you want to be. Now that's exactly. So for me, I normally tell people, here's the real deal. Just do it. Don't wait. Don't even wait the next minute. Like, just do it. Whenever we have another problem as human beings of, presuming problems or creating ones in our new mind, then move ahead into concocting a solution without even the problem being there. Now, out of that should actually be solving problems that are not there while deviating from the real goal of you just executing your plan. So I'd say basically the fasting and this now falls into a lot of discipline. And any other time I have a space or a platform to talk about growth in terms of youth development, career opportunities, and everything that touch base with youth life, I normally say one thing: you don't need motivation. You don't even okay. Maybe you need motivation or inspiration by the side, but you need discipline. 99.9% of what you need in your day-to-day life execution is discipline. You waking up to showing to that place every other day, regardlessly, whether you feel it, whether you have the motivation that day, whether you're passionate about that thing. So if the catch, if you follow your passion, then what if tomorrow that passion is there? That means nothing will be done. If you need motivation, all those things actually come from outside. But discipline is the only grand thing that comes from within. That comes from you. If you want like to lose weight, you gotta have to show up to that gym every other day. Hit the gym every other day until you lose weight. That's discipline. That's where the real catch is. So number one, just do it. Don't wait tomorrow. Don't wait the next hour. Do not even wait the next minute. You have a restoration plan on Manguo, begin where you are. Second thing, you need to be very disciplined. I think down here we've been led to believe that discipline is not materialistic. But I tend to disagree about. I mean, they may look pretty much the same, or maybe they move hand in hand, but discipline, respect is probably what you show out to other people or to your surrounding environment. But discipline is how generally you carry around yourself. How if there's nobody to wake you up in the morning, will you wake up to show up to where you're supposed to show up? There's no monetary benefit from what you're doing. Will it be possible enough for you to wake up to show up to that place for so long as you have a plan? That's very discipline. The second thing, you really need to be very, very disciplined. That's the thing that you should be carrying around every other time. And maybe to add on to, you can find motivation or inspiration. Have someone that you look up to. Get someone that maybe let me use an example of maybe once you're in the law profession and you want to become a real great lawyer, you know, at least in that profession, there's someone that you can look up to and you're like, and now start following or reading about them or checking things about them of how they did it up to where they are. Of course, you can't be a replica of their life because they have a totally different story and a totally different life. But maybe some instances in their life, they will really motivate you into becoming what you want to become. I basically carry those 3 points. Number one, the very important thing is you have a plan, you have an idea, execute. Like ideas don't make people great. Execution of them does. And just like
Damn.
Edison said, and he started by quoting his dad, is that ideas and plans without execution are merely hallucinations. Like there's no less of that. So if you don't execute, you're just hallucinating. You're just daydreaming. But start by a step. Like there's a story that I normally like telling when I was campaigning here down here sometimes back in 2022 when I was taking. You know, number one, I was very young by destination politics here because I was only 23, 24. Number two, down here you need a lot of money, and let me just put it that plain. You need a lot of money in the political sector, which apparently I look like I don't have
Corruption.
one. Exactly. So a lot of people a lot of people were like, so why is this young man doing in the political arena? I mean, you should go back to school, study, get a good job, get some money first. Then maybe after you get money, you can come back. And I was like, okay, they don't, they, they look like a negative energy to me, but that's what kept me disciplined. That was kept me showing up every other day. And I can tell you, let's know the story. 3 good campaign months. I woke up every other day, I used the bicycles, We started the idea long ago.
Damn,
We
bro, you was
an
campaigning on a
environment,
bike?
yes, environmental friendly means of campaign. You don't need to, have some convoys of and possession of cars, exchanging gasoline
Damn.
and so we used bicycle and every other day, went up every other day for 3 good months, showed up to the people, talked to them. Well, I didn't have money to give them, but guess what? I scored position 3 out of 11 people who were on that ballot. And I can only attribute that to the level of consistency that we had because even right now, I will walk around a place and people are like, hey, Hussein Waiyaki, will you be buying this time round? And I'm like, okay, who's this guy? Because of the effort that we put and the consistency that we had back then, that we showed up to the people every single day until the day of the election came. I mean, I wouldn't say much, but that really kind of also put a motivation to me because it gave me this kind of view that so long as you show up to a place, regardless of whether you have this or that, something will come out of that.
Wow, man. I feel like I just feel like I gotta digest that, but I feel like you just put me through a TED talk and made me question some of the things I do in my life. Like, damn, that's bro, you was campaigning on your bike.
And not just for one day, we hit the ground every other day, 3 good months bicycle.
Hey, you must have been in
Every
good
other
shape then, damn. Cause that's a lot of cycling. That's a lot of cycling. That's a lot of cycling. But anyways, damn. Gabe, man, I don't know what you take from that, man. That was a real inspiring story to hear about the
It
aspect of
was
execution.
inspiring. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at thank you, Hussein, for sharing that because I'm sure that's going to touch and change someone's life, and it's going to be a voice of change for somebody else. So I appreciate you sharing. Um, moving forward though, as well, I did want to, head into our last little bit. Of course, we like to end it on three for the founders.
You
You
know,
know, you know, yes,
you
sir.
know, you know what it is.
You know what it is. You know what it
No.
is. Yes, sir. And so, three for the founders. Of course, you're saying this is your first time onto the show. Three for the founders. How we end our show. We get up. We leave our team with 3 points that they can take actionable steps, things that they can take into their lives that can make change today and be that voice of change that they can take. So, I'll start off right. Of course, right. There is a ripple effect of execution. When you execute, things will change in your life. You'll see things like better work performance, a better career growth, better life, better wife, things like in that nature, right? But put your best foot forward in your daily execution and watch your life change. Boom. Amen. I'll pass to you, Tex.
I'll do the hot topic for today, and I'll let Hussein go because he just that was beautiful. So Hussein, you got number two for the day to leave the listeners with.
Do it. Oh, wait for tomorrow. Just do it.
Easy, easy, right to the
Shout
point. I like it.
shout out to Nike too. But anyways, um, what I would say is execution builds legacy. Your legacy isn't what you meant to do; it's what you actually pulled off. Execution is how you carve your name into the world. Um, And every step you take, launching whatever it is that you want to do, transforming your life or leading your team or leading your dream or whatever it is, it's building your story. Start where you are, track your progress, show your work, let your actions create a reputation that echoes. And the question isn't what you want to be known for, it's what you're doing right now to make it real. So go out there, write your story, and one bold move at a time, or as I would say for Hussein, one pedal at a time, So
Yes, sir. I like it. I like it. I did have one thing to add for a final closing before we close this out is that, hey, everybody, success isn't magic. It's momentum. Okay. Our actions will lead and propel that confidence. that we may be lacking or may have, or raise it up. Start now, execute daily, and grow exponentially. Thank you, team. Thank you, all. We're the voice of the change. You can hear us out on a
And
live podcast app and network. Make sure that you tune into our YouTube channel, Instagram, Reels, and any other platform that we may be on. Here with with your host, Tex Wambui, and myself, Gabriel Martinez, with our lovely guest that we have today, Hussein Waiyaki. Thank you all for tuning in today. Appreciate you, and you guys have a great day. Execute. Yes, sir.
execution, build your legacy. Shout out, y'all. And we are the voices of change. Peace out.